Hey everyone, Alpha Eagle here again. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well and may God bless you all. James Gunn made an announcement recently regarding his plans for DC Entertainment, and we will be going over that. Just to let you know that I think that James Gunn is personally a terrible person. He is a left-wing nut who makes jokes about child predators and bestiality. However, he did stand up for Chris Pratt, and Chris Pratt seems to be a good guy, and it's good that he did that. I also like a few of his movies. I like Guardians of the Galaxy Volumes 1 and 2. I like The Suicide Squad. I like Guardians of the Galaxy in Infinity War and Endgame. But from what I did see of it, I did not like what he did with Peacemaker. I think that he is probably the worst person to head up DC's entertainment. Zack Snyder was bad, but I think James Gunn will be worse. Anyway, let's begin.
Hey everybody, I'm James Gunn. I'm the co-CEO of DC Studios. So as many of you know, DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time. And it's one of, our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCEU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation. That the characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story. And if something is outside of that, like Matt Reeves' Batman or Todd Phillips' Joker or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly labeled as DC Elseworlds, outside of the mainstream DCU continuity. Now Peter and I have gotten pretty lucky in terms of the 4 projects that are coming out over the next year. First, we have Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well.
So basically, they are copying Marvel and connecting their projects together into a shared continuity. He mentions Shazam, which I like that first movie, but the sequel has some red flags for me.
That moves directly into The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love that resets the entire DC universe.
Then he says that he loves the Flash movie that stars Ezra Miller, and Ezra Miller is a clear psychopath who should be locked up for the rest of his life, and they should throw away the key. The fact that Gunn likes this movie is a huge red flag for me.
Beetle, a fantastic film about a kid who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and
then he mentions Blue Beetle, which is Jaime Reyes, which is not my Blue Beetle. They are already skipping over at least 2 Blue Beetles for this modern Blue Beetle.
And then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects, which I'm going to tell you about now. So
he quickly mentions Aquaman 2, which I also like the first one, but I don't have high hopes for this second one.
Peter and I, along with a group of very talented writers, have started to map out an 8 to 10 year plan of what DC Studios will be in film, television, and gaming. This first chapter is called Gods and Monsters. Now this, what I'm about to tell you, is a part of the first chapter. It's not the entire first chapter. The first project is Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos is an animated series. I've written all the episodes. Something we're going to do that's a little bit different at DC is we're going to have characters move into animation, out of animation, usually having the same actor play their voice as who plays them in live action.
Now, Creature Commandos could be a decent series, but the first thing I noticed is that he added Weasel from the Suicide Squad, which is one of the worst parts of that movie, since he is a child murderer and a cannibal, and we're supposed to relate to him.
Up is Waller. This is a story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Viola Davis is going to team up with members of Team Peacemaker, and this is a story that's been created by Crystal Henry, who did Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created the Doom Patrol. It is a fantastic story that's out of this world, and I can't wait for people to see it.
Amanda Waller is a good side character in the comics, but I don't think she can lead a show. And James Gunn is only expanding on stuff that he has already done, and it comes off as narcissistic on his part.
Okay, next up is a big one, the true beginning of the DCU. This is called Superman Legacy. This is being written by me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm having a great time doing it. And Superman will be released into theaters July 11th, 2025.
Okay, Superman Legacy, written and directed by James Gunn. Superman is a hopeful, optimistic character, and I don't think James Gunn can do it. And the title of Legacy suggests that Superman is either going to die or pass the torch. It seems like another bait and switch like Kevin Smith's He-Man, where it wasn't really about He-Man. But we shall see.
The next thing is a big premiere HBO television series called Lanterns. This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan, and we have a few other Lanterns peppered in there, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective, with a couple of Green Lanterns who are space cops watching over Precinct Earth. In it, they discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU. Next is
Lanterns seems like it might be okay. It could be a buddy cop show like Lethal Weapon or Tango and Cash, or it could be something horrible like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Have more confidence in it if it was just Hal Jordan, but since they added Jon Stewart, I hope they don't lean heavily on his race like they did with Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Next is a big movie called The Authority. The Authority is a passion project of mine. It's based on the marvelous Wildstorm characters we are now bringing into the DCU and will interact with all of our primary DCU characters. The Authority are a group of superheroes who think the world is broken and they want to fix it by any means necessary. I think it's a very different look at superheroes.
I've never read The Authority, but from what I know, it's just another deconstruction of the Justice League, much like Watchmen. And of course they have gay characters in it, so of course they're going to throw in modern day gay politics into it, so I have no interest. And it seems strange to throw in a deconstruction of the Justice League before we even get a Justice League.
We're doing a television series called Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is the story of Paradise Island, usually known as Themyscira, which is the birthplace of Wonder Woman. It's almost like Game of Thrones with Westeros, but with all of the inhabitants of Paradise Island.
I have no interest in a modern interpretation of Paradise Island with different factions on it. This is not what Wonder Woman was supposed to be about. First, Wonder Woman is based off of Greek myth, and Greeks are white, yet somehow they have different races on this island. Also, it's not exactly a paradise if they have warring factions. This is so dumb.
The introduction of the DCU's Batman is The Brave and the Bold. The Brave and the Bold is the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne. This is based on Grant Morrison's great comic book run. Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. He's a little assassin who Batman tries to get in line, and so this is the story of the two of them and the beginning of sort of the Bat family in the DCU.
The Brave and the Bold was originally a team-up comic that eventually featured Batman teaming up with another hero, much like the Batman Brave and the Bold animated series. But to limit it to just the Bat family is kind of weird. To feature Damian makes it so much worse, since he is the worst Robin ever. Why they are starting with Damian as the first Robin is so bizarre to me. And did I mention that I hate Damian yet?
Next up is a TV series called Booster Gold. Booster Gold is one of comics' really popular cult heroes. He's a fascinating guy. He's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back to present day and become a superhero so that people will love him. It is basically the superhero story of imposter syndrome on an HBO Max series. One of my favorite comics.
Notice that he called Booster Gold a loser, which makes me think that he hates Booster Gold. Also, now that he's starting with the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle, is Booster Gold going to team up with him instead of Ted Kord? He seems to be skipping a lot of classic heroes.
One of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And so we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film. Now, Superman is a guy who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents. Where Supergirl in this story, she is a character who was raised on a chunk of Krypton. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way. So she's a much more jaded character. And
Tom King is regarded as one of the worst comic book writers of all time. And James Gunn just said that he likes him. And he called Supergirl a jaded character. Supergirl is not supposed to be a jaded character. I guarantee that they will make Superman the privileged one who grew up on a farm with great parents, while she is the oppressed one, of course, because Superman is a straight white male and she is the woman held down by the patriarchy. It sounds similar to the Supergirl TV series, in which it was nothing but lesbians. It also goes back to what I was saying about the Superman Legacy title. Will Supergirl be the legacy he's talking about, and will she take over for Superman already?
And that brings me to Swamp Thing, the last thing we're going to talk about, a very dark horror story in the origins of the monster who is Swamp Thing. And although it's totally outside of the rest of the DCU, it will still feed into the rest of the stories.
Okay, Swamp Thing, another dark, cynical hero. Can't wait, he says sarcastically. Anyway, that's about it for this video. I'm Alpha Eagle. God bless you for watching. God bless America. And I pray that James Gunn can make a movie of a hopeful, positive hero that doesn't hate straight white men for once in his life.